Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Press Conference Match Reaction Show live here on the Toon Review YouTube channel. And I'm joined by my good old mate, PD Proudlock. How are you doing, Pete?
Not too bad. I had a few tech issues before trying to get this preview uploaded, but it's all sorted now.
Good. I think everybody's having tech issues with internet tonight, but never mind. We'll start with some comments early doors. Layla says, hi, Peter and Paul's channel is the best. Sun and Regulon are fit. I didn't think Regulon was.
Yes, I think he is. I think he is fit.
I have a feeling there's a few of ours fit as well, which Steve Bruce isn't confirming. But we'll come on to that a bit later. Layla again says, Steve has the worst Premier League win record in the Premier League, even worse than Tony Pulis, Joe Kinnear, Alan Kirbysh, Lee Mark Hughes, Sam Allardyce. Embarrassing 2 wins in 20. Good evening to our old mate, Joe Linton. Shelley says, only happy eye. Fair enough. That's good for you. Chippers, tell you what pissed me off today when the Cabbage said they stewed long and hard after Brighton and ideally wanted a game ASAP, yet he gave the squad 6 days off. That just says it all, really. I mean, you voiced your opinions on that before.
I did, yeah.
Chippers again, he said he wants to weather the storm, 2 wins in 20, and facing relegation is more a tsunami than the storm, I'd say. Yes, I'd totally agree with that. Brian, he says, keep up the great work, Paul. We love you. Make us all laugh whenever you're live. Ignore the trolls. Thanks, mate. It means a lot. I would like to thank everybody for the obviously the lovely messages I've had today. You know, I did put on Twitter that I was trolled overnight quite badly and threatened. Somebody actually said they hoped that I would die of my Parkinson's illness, and if not, they would get me. So, you know, passed on to the constabulary, and we'll see what happens with that. But as usual, it was one of those, you know, with a couple of letters and a load of numbers as the username. So, you know, what it is. But thank you very much for everybody. All I did was basically stick up for what I believe in. Stick up for the girls. You know who they are. You know, I will back them up 100%. They've stuck to the morals. They are very, very good people, very nice people, who I've got to know over time. Peter, you've got to know them over time as well by watching the various shows and stuff like that. They know the stuff. The football fans at the end of the day, and that's what it's all about, being a football fan. This is why we do these channels. This is why we have them on. And it's because of the love of the football club that we have that we do what we do. For someone, loads of people to troll them like that and speak really disgusting things to them, I'm not going to stand. But I'm not that person that will stand by and just watch. I've always been like that all my life. And like I say, I believe in what you know, I have a lot of strong feelings of what I believe in, and I'm not going to let people like that walk all over them. So that's just me. People say don't get involved. I'm sorry, but when it comes to who I class as friends, I'm not going to let my friends get walked over like that. No way in hell. So anyway, Layla goes on to say, I believe Steve Bruce is in Mike Ashley's room to arrange a Cleveland steamer in Mike Ashley's office, with Steve Bruce doing the Cleveland steamer on Mike Ashley. Layla, you've got a very, very strange sense of humor.
I think you get as bad as Chippers there, Layla.
Aye, she is, without a doubt. Let's have a look, Layla, again. Smash the like button like Steve Bruce is giving Ashley a Cleveland steamer. Thanks very much. That's a nice way of asking to hit the like button. So, yeah, fair enough. Anthony says, think maybe if you do go back, you're able to get the Saudi deal through without Premier League interference. That's what a lot of people have said. If we get relegated, it's going to help the takeover. But I would rather stay in the Premier League, to be honest. But
exactly. And I've said, I think the Saudi takeover, I think it's gone completely now.
Well, it'd be interesting to see, won't it, what comes of this arbitration, wasn't it? Because
could be.
You know, we have to see, and you know, Nick DeMarco's been on Twitter again, putting all these you know, cryptic codes on and wishing Newcastle all the best and stuff like that. So it will be interesting to see.
It will be.
David says, I was supporting from the trolls, and I was told last week, and I please don't give up. No, I won't give up. They won't beat me. Yes, it was a shock. It was a shock, but I've got a lot of you know, I've got a lot of family support here where I live. I've got, you know, the likes of Peter, John, Barry. I've got Adam, loads of people that I can't, you know, too many to mention that have messaged me today. Lee from Newcastle Fans TV. I've had big conversations with him. Charlotte from the Newcastle United Supporters Trust. I had about a half an hour phone call with her this morning, which was lovely. So, you know, I have a lot of people out there who actually, you know, care about me and I care back, and that's what it's all about. The trolls can go to hell, to be honest. Good evening, says Adam. I hope you're all right, mate. Thanks for the support as well, buddy. Brian says, can't wait till we can all meet up at the ground. The ground has been shut off, mold grown and weeds all over. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you've heard about that, Peter, but the ground has been completely fenced off for months on end now.
I've seen that, yeah.
It is looking like a derelict building site. There's sort of grass growing on the walls and all of this kind of stuff, and it's disgusting, really. Nobody seems to be maintaining the ground.
Well, exactly. It just shows the ownership doesn't care, does he? And that's why that's happening.
Yeah, you'd probably get a lot of fans shortly taking the buckets along with scrubbing cloths and see about hundreds of Newcastle fans scrubbing the walls and that. Binary Signal said this should be a laugh. It always is on this channel. Ania, good evening to you. Sorry about Bristol City's performance today. You should be ashamed of yourselves losing to Stoke, but never mind. I'm sure Nigel Pearson will have given them a rocket up the backsides. Luke says, wicked tune. Thank you very much. Hello, Wino Fox. Well, that's a very interesting. Is that what he really looks like, do you reckon? I'm not
oh
so
my
sure.
God.
Tom says Bruce out, Ashley out. Yeah, we want them gone, don't we? We want them gone in a big hurry. Exquisite says on Insta yesterday I saw Bruce sacked, then April Fool's my smile. Yeah, I think if you were hooked into that too early, there was loads of them going around.
I wasn't falling for that as soon as I see that. April.
Yeah, there was loads, wasn't there? There was loads on Twitter. Yeah. There was loads all over social media, to be honest.
There was.
It was funny. I love PD. I think that's supposed to say PD Proudlock as a preview. Basically, I mean, everybody knows you as the mole now, Peter, for some reason, thinking you're the one that's sneaking this information. Luke says maximum fit for the weekend. I believe he's close, but I don't think he should start, and we'll come on to that a bit later.
I think he said he could be involved, but no, I would Storm. I've not included in my start lineup.
No, I haven't. It's just too much of a risk.
It is.
4-0 to Spurs. Tom says, great listening. Keep it up, lads. Thanks, buddy. Stephen's still going with Pulis ahead of Hughes. I think Steve, I don't know whether you saw after you. I think it was after you'd gone off on the fan forum, Peter. And then Stephen said, who would? Well, the question came in saying Hughes or Pulis, who would be the better of the two for Newcastle? And Stephen said Pulis.
Oh God!
It's like, he was shot down in a complete ball of flames. Binary Signal says 7-0 Spurs. Cabbage sending us Doon. Tom says congratulations to Dubravka on his baby news. Yes, we all wish him well.
Congrats to him.
Binary Cabbage, Bruce out. And he says, ignore the trolls, I will, mate. Thank you. Evening almost shy from Bruce again. Yeah, but we'll come on to that very shortly. Reese says, Paul looking sexy. Well, thank you very much. I know, hey, I'm whoo, it's getting hot in here. Exquisite Sem, some assholes are true. What assholes? Yep. Binary says, Mackhams who haven't, oh dear God. Andrew says, knowing how you used to play hockey, you had plenty of balls. Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. Obviously, remembering my glory days of ice hockey there. Great Toby says 4-0 Spurs. Cabbages hasn't got a hope in hell's chance. Tom says, another Joel and Joel's fish shop story. Bruce is the storm, without a shadow of a doubt. He is. Luke says, did you see the Reuben brothers' son and what he like tweeted about takeover? No, I haven't. I haven't seen anything from the Reubens. I know that obviously I just mentioned Nick DeMarco, but I haven't seen anything else. Cheers, buddy. That hashtag has gone to shit lately, without a doubt. PD Proudlock is locking the more from Peter eating doner kebabs. Have you upset Layla somewhere along the line, Peter? Because she's targeting you quite big style lately.
Hey, God.
It's crazy. Michael says, thoughts on how likely to join Celtic and rumour of Bruce getting a new contract. We'll come on to Bruce's contract because I'm sure Peter will have a lot to say on that as well. And believe it or not, I have as well. But Eddie Howe joining Celtic, Peter, certainly looks like it's almost a done deal, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen he has been having talks, so looks like the one we've missed out because I would have loved to have had Eddie Howe as manager at this football club. I would have. I think he's a
think
very
it's a good
good.
move for him to go to Scotland.
It could be. His question is, how long will he stay there for? I'm not entirely too sure.
I mean,
I think he'll do well. I think he'll do well at Celtic, though.
Yeah, I've heard some people say give him a chance because obviously he's got a chance to go to Celtic and experience European football, which he didn't get to do with Bournemouth.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a chance of winning some trophies, to get some trophies on his CV, and it could be a bit of a learning curve for Eddie Howe because all he's known is really. Yeah, all he's known is Bournemouth. Obviously, his brief stint at Burnley didn't work out, but Bournemouth where it was his bread and butter really, and that's where he's been brought up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But I'm as disappointed as you because I would have loved to have seen Eddie Howe at Newcastle. Yeah. These gits have got me on a ban on Twitter. Yes, I heard about that. You'll be back though. Don't worry. It's not a very big one, I don't think. Luke says so. Read into lads. The training ground going to shit because Mike Ashley just wants to put any money because it's sold. Why would he spend money on the club which he doesn't own anymore? I mean, yeah, but it's not just Mike Ashley. It's the whole sort of. But then again, Peter, Mike Ashley's got that many people on furlough. There's obviously not that many working at the ground anyway.
No, it sounds like it, doesn't it? And I mean, how can you put your stuff on furlough if you're a billionaire as well? I found that really strange as well. I must say, but you want to hope that someone's working at the ground still, because
that's all we've got though, isn't it? Hope.
It is.
It's all we've had for 14 years now is hope, and it just seems like that hope's dwindling away. However, I've always said that there's got to be some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. There has to be eventually, and we'll be there long after this. Ashley's gone. Bring back Kinnear instead of Cabot. Wow, that's a statement right there. That's how bad things have got. Stephen says, "Hi lads, you know how the takeover is gone. Nobody does until the arbitration." No.
I just think it's gone completely.
Yeah,
it's just my opinion on what I think of it.
I don't want to hear anything about it, Peter.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, if it happens, great. But if it doesn't happen, don't be too surprised because we'll get down this road so many times, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly. We've built our hopes up far too much over the last couple of years about a takeover. It's better just doing it all in the background and then announcing it. Alan's keep St. Maximin for the Burnley game. I agree. I think it's too early to bring both of them back, but there's just this little suspicion inside of me, Peter, that Steve Bruce is... he's not being honest with us. And, I've heard a few people mention that Wilson could actually be in the starting lineup tomorrow. He's just playing his cards close to his chest. And I think it would be ridiculous after that amount of time out, both him and St. Maximin coming back and starting. Maybe we're Miggy because it was a knee injury, but these are muscle injuries. This is a completely different kettle of fish. But it's typical, innit? It'll be typical of Steve Bruce.
It will be. Well, yeah, he probably just wants his better players back in the side, but you've got to be careful with that risk. I mean, how many times have we thrown players back in the start lineup and it massively backfires completely, then they've got another injury. So either put them on the bench or just say, do you know what, lads, we'll not involve you, we'll give you another week, and just to play on the safe side. Things like that.
Yep. Richard says, I think NUFC will steal by 10 points. And NUFC to beat Spurs 5-0, but I'm clinically insane. Yeah, I'm pleased you finished with that because I would have thought that anyway, Richard, to be fair. Crazy. I get it. Joe Linton says, I get it now. PD stands for Police Department. That's how we know he's the more leaking all this info. Brilliant. Kobe says, have you seen Goal yet? No, I haven't. I will watch it at some point, I'm sure.
I've seen the first two. I've not seen the third one, but I heard the third one was apparently...
The third one's supposed to be a right flump, isn't it?
No,
like Home Alone 3.
Yeah. You probably said it's not that good.
Jake says, Harry Kane's captain in my fantasy football. Well, I hope he has a shocker on Sunday. Jake says, always here to support you all. I think we get a miracle. I think we'll beat them 3-0 against Spurs. Miggy hat-trick.
Optimism there.
Joe Linton, this isn't a Monday night, so Tom says Wilson might be on the bench, but Bruce said he's keeping him for Burnley. Also hearing Gale might be missing due to his partner giving birth soon. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of births going on at Newcastle United. I think over that first lockdown, a lot of hanky-panky's gone on. They've been a bit bored, haven't they, and just got down to action.
Sounds like it,
Luke
doesn't
says
it?
Roberto Martinez favourite to take over Newcastle United. I've never heard that yet.
I think I heard a few rumours on that, but
Yeah, I think.
why would he want to
be
come
honest-
to us when he's doing well with Belgium?
Yeah, exactly. PD Proudlock, the P stands for peace and D stands for danger. That's your big fan Layla there, Peter. So obviously she's digging herself out of the hole that she made earlier on. Jer says Bruce Forsyth would have been a better appointment. I don't think he's got a very good look about him lately, though. Joe Linton, get lost with your comments. Talk about the game and the press conference. Bede says, look, Edwards is just trying to bait fans into believing that Bruce would get a new contract. He is Bruce's mate and spouts nothing but nonsense every time he opens his mouth. Well, he's blocked me, so I haven't a clue what he talks about, to be honest. I'm just going to keep quiet on Luke Edwards because whatever, comes out of his mouth has been absolute trash lately. Jamie says, big up you two in the pits with your club, but still smiling. That's what the world needs, guys. It certainly does, especially in the last 24 hours I've gone through. Ken says, Ashley would not spend the likes of what he is spending if they thought this takeover was dead. The 3 QCs that are working for him are on at least 1,200 quid an hour. Wow, I'm in the wrong job. £1,200 an hour, can you imagine? Bring back Pardew. Remember when Sir John Hall wanted to build a new stadium if the right owners come in? Would you build a new stadium in Leazes Park and leave St James's Park for other games? I don't know. I've got a affinity with St James's Park, Peter. I don't know about
you know it for the ground. You're going in, watching the games there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I just think they need to, if they're going to do anything, build onto St James's Park. And I know there's listed buildings behind it, but if they purchase them, there's ways around that to expand the stadium on that side. So, anyway, let's get on to the press conference, Peter. Some absolutely insane things yet again said by our manager. They're not in any order, these, so I've just obviously took bits and bobs from Twitter, various Newcastle sources. We'll start with Miles Starforth. First one there says Steve Bruce today suggested that it was unlikely that Callum Wilson will be back for Sunday's game against Tottenham. The April 11th fixture against Burnley is a more realistic chance for him. And then he goes on to say Isaac Hayden doesn't need an operation, but he'll be out for the rest of the season. We kind of already knew about Isaac Hayden, Peter, because Isaac Hayden had put that on Twitter himself before the club had even announced it. But then again, we probably wouldn't have got to find out had Isaac Hayden not put it out there.
Hi, exactly. Well, I thought when he got that injury and he came off on the stretcher, I feared for the worst myself, and I think this is him done for the rest of the season, which is a massive blow. He's been one of our outstanding players. That is a massive loss for us.
He snapped his leg the way the Brighton players were acting. I thought that it was one of them where you've seen some horrific injuries in the past when players have looked distraught on the pitch when bones breaking and coming through the skin and horrendous injuries. I just thought the worst, but anyway. The meet and gritty. Mike Ashley has sent his support to rally the troops, says Steve Bruce after the Brighton defeat. What do you make of that one?
Oh, my word. It just sounds like more and more utter crap every time it is.
Yeah, I mean, but we kind of already knew this because if Mike Ashley hadn't supported him, then, it wouldn't matter because he'd be sacked now. So we all knew Mike Ashley was loving him. So cheers, Gary. He says 1-1 at the weekend. But Mike Ashley is he's either, got something on behind the scenes or the man has lost the plot, Pete.
It's one of the two, yeah, you could say, couldn't you? So which one do you believe in the most? That is the thing.
Yeah. Is that an away shirt, long or short sleeved, Peter?
It's the away from 95-96.
Is it short or long sleeved?
Short sleeved.
Short. I couldn't wear long sleeve football tops, me, like no way. Do you actually think, Peter, that maybe Mike Ashley has got something going on behind the scenes? Is that why this Steve Bruce saga just keeps going on and going on? Because he doesn't want to make that decision? Because at the end of the day, if Steve Bruce is there or not, that's not Mike Ashley's problem if he sells the club. He doesn't want to spend all this money on compensation when, there's an opportunity to sell the club and he doesn't have to put his hand in his pocket and pay out Steve Bruce. He'd rather have the money. I know it's pittance to him, but we know how Mike Ashley is. He's stingy with money. So
Yeah.
you just get that feeling, don't you, that something must be going on behind the scenes. Or why is he keeping Steve Bruce? It makes no sense.
Well, exactly. I mean, why keep a manager on who's got 2 wins out of 20 since December? You would look at it, any other manager would be out the door. I think Mike Ashley, I think it's just Mike Ashley's just finished with the club and said, why should I spend any more, put any more into it when I'm trying to sell it or whatever? I think it could be down to that mostly. But Steve, I mean, if it's 4 million to pay him off, I mean, that's pennies in football these days. You must say, I mean,
especially as somebody as rich as Mike Ashley, it is pennies.
Yeah, it is.
But that's what gets me to thinking that he's waiting for this arbitration. He's waiting to see what happens. He's obviously getting told things by his QCs and things like that, isn't he? You know, that they're not going to make public. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we can just speculate on things that are going on behind the scenes. But I genuinely believe, and I've said this for weeks now, that, you know, it isn't dead in the water yet. And I know people, as time goes on and on and on, people are losing faith with that. But we have to see what happens with this arbitration first. And then if it goes in Newcastle's favour and Mike Ashley's favour, then I believe something might happen. But until then, we've just got to, you know, hope. Judy says, are you boys doing a watch along tomorrow? Well, it won't be tomorrow, but it might be Sunday. I was mixed up with my days. I could have sworn it was Saturday today, with it being, you know, the Good Friday and stuff like that. And my kids just broke up yesterday. There was some schools off at the beginning of the week, and mine just broke up yesterday. So it threw me completely. But I will be on John's Watch Along on Sunday, and then I will be doing the match reaction live show straight after the game. So it'll be about 4:15 on my channel, and then obviously the Four Horsemen will be back on Monday night, and we'll see how that. I think there's going to be a lot of things said on that show, to be honest, about everything. Bede says, don't think Ashley would take a 150 million loss on selling the club. More likely to put enough money back in to get us promoted. He's already risked it twice and got us back the first time of asking. Yep, but we had Chris Hughton and we had Rafa Benitez. It's a very, very different kettle of fish now with the cabbage. Let's have a look. Miles Staff has reported as well. Steve Bruce said, when you get beat badly. The one thing you want is to have another game around the corner. So you could say we've all been stewing for a while, but we've got to leave it behind. Focus on Tottenham and play better than we did in our last game. Peter.
Well, why you ask him? Where's the other previous performances that we should be turning up into? And we look absolutely all over the place. I mean, that Brighton game was a perfect opportunity to pull away. And look how that went completely.
Yeah,
the complete and absolute opposite. You can tell the players don't want to play for him anymore. That is the thing, because the way he's threw them under the bus, etc. But at least the players should try and play for the fans, for the badge. You represent this club for a reason. You play for that.
Well, that's what pisses me off. I mean, everybody knows that pisses me off. Just the lack of commitment. It wasn't even like, I don't know. It wasn't even Steve Bruce against Brighton that really got me angry. It was I mean, yes, he's partly to blame, but those players put in absolutely no fight on that pitch against Brighton. There was no commitment. You could not. If you were a neutral, Pete, and you went and watched that game, you would not have thought that Newcastle United were in relegation trouble because the foot was off the gas for 90 minutes. They just wandered around the pitch. They didn't try and win that football match.
No, definitely not. It just sounds like, well, we can't be bothered. We don't want to play for this manager. Sod it. That's what it felt like, I must say.
Which is a terrible attitude to have when you're in a relegation.
Exactly. You think, well, you'll be thinking, oh, we're going doing it at this rate.
But that again, I mean, you know, it does come from the manager as well.
It does.
Corby says, would you rather see a 5-2-3 with no Hendrick or a 4-3-3 with Hendrick? Now, Peter, I know you're a big fan of Jeff Hendrick, so I don't want to see us go 5 at the back, man. I
don't want to see 5 at the back. I mean, I think this formation was gone for a reason now. If we go with that, we'll accept a defeat before the whistle's even blown. Yeah. You know how it doesn't work, this formation. It clearly doesn't. We're far too back. We're not pressing forward, and we'll let the opposition come and counter-attack us. And the 9 times out of 10, we're getting punished for it massively.
Yeah. I mean, Tom says there, what's your take, lads? Is Bruce in denial, delusional, couldn't give a toss? I genuinely think he's delusional. Because he said all along this season that we're not in relegation trouble, that won't happen. And every single game he's seen positives from the game when we all sit there as fans and think, what the hell are you talking about? Where are the positives in this team? So I think he's a bit delusional. I think he's a bit of all three there, Peter, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I think you think, and I'm thinking, what game's he watching, or does he not care, or does he want his payoff if he wants to be out the club? If that's what you're wondering, is he asking for the second? What's his payoff?
Yeah, Matthew would go for a 3-4-3 formation or a 3-3-3-1. That's interesting. 3-3-3-1 I've never heard of before, but
I've heard of a 4-2-2-2, which
that's a very narrow formation, though, isn't it? If you think 3-3-3, it's well, oh dear me. Joe Linton says, I think PD Proudlock should leak more info. We need new info. Come on. He's got no info. He's not them all. He's just not them all. Chipper says, if Ashley cared no matter what, sacking Bruce for 4 million surely isn't out when he will pocket 300. That's what we can't get our heads around.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. And that's why I genuinely believe that something is going on behind the scenes that obviously we're not privy to, and Mike Ashley doesn't want to come out in the press. Another quote from the press conference today, Steve Bruce says, Alan Saint-Maximin could be involved against Tottenham, but he's more advanced in his comeback than Callum Wilson. I mean, it's all cryptic, Peter. It's never any sort of, it's 2 days before a game, and he's saying that Saint-Maximin's, he's got a shot at playing, or Wilson's just going to miss out. It's 2 days before a game. He should know who's missing and who isn't.
Exactly. I mean, just say if they're not going to play, they're not going to play. It's as simple as that. Don't just say, oh, they might be involved or they might be missing. I mean, give us some proper information of are they definitely playing or they're not. Because
this is why he makes a fool of himself in the press conferences, because he doesn't give any definitive answers. He just comes out with bullshit week in, week out. And it's just the same old. It's like he's got this, I don't know, he's got this book with all his notes in. And he just takes that same notebook into his press conference week in, week out, and just reads from it.
Probably does.
It's all bollocks.
It is.
Stephen says, when the new owner's coming in, Bruce will be sacked. Did we not give Sheffield Wednesday 3 million for Bruce? That'll be 7 million he spent. Well, apparently to get rid of him is going to be more like 12 million than 4. With all the add-ons and stuff like that. So, we spent an absolute fortune on... I mean, what a wonderful summer that was, spending that much money on Steve Bruce. Joe Linton came in. Emil Kraft came in.
I think they 6.5 on Bruce, although I'm hearing I think Sheffield Wednesday are still asking for a bit more. I think they were asking for about 8, and I think they're still trying to challenge Newcastle for it. By the looks of it, but
it's bloody laughable, man.
It is, man.
Laughable.
I mean, there could have been other options out there, and no, we'll go and pay 6.5. Who a manager's got the worst Premier League record of all time.
12th choice by all accounts. 12th choice. Jesus H. Christ, man. Kobe says, not an UFC related, Paul, but are you okay now after what was said about you on Twitter? I'm fine, mate. Honestly, I've had loads of support, including yourself. Loads and loads of support. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let the trolls win, all right? It's just, I believe in sticking up for people that are genuinely classed as friends, and I've done that all my life, and I'll continue to do that. So I know I'm not in the wrong because I'm sticking up for people. I'm not bullying. I'm not trolling, like it's been said. You have an opinion, you disagree on it. That's not bullying. That's not trolling. You talk about it, but some people aren't like that, unfortunately. Annie says Steve Bruce is deluded. Thomas says Bruce is on cocaine. Wow. Probably is. A bit of an accusation. Joe Linton says, sounds like Papa Bruce is talking about cooking some food up. It wouldn't be surprising, really. Adam says Steve Bruce's comment on not quitting, despite him leaving multiple clubs in his time, was delusional. Pete, I mean, he came out and said, didn't he, that he, this crap that he's come out with for the last few weeks, saying that he's not going to walk away. It's a challenge, and he's never walked away from a challenge. I think I counted 6 clubs he's resigned from. Yeah,
I have. I mean, what's he going to say next when the fans start to come back? He's probably thinking, oh, God, the fans are going to be coming back when they're allowed in. Oh, what am I going to do then? Am I going to let all the toxics come towards us? or should I just do the decent thing and just get the hell out of here and avoid hearing any of it in public?
Beads put a comment there. Now, I heard this yesterday, but I didn't tweet anything out because I didn't know if it was true. But the rumours seem to be getting stronger as the weekend goes on. Apparently, Sells offered to give up the captaincy, meaning Bruce would have made Shelvey captain. Now, the players did not want Shelvey as captain, apparently. And I'm pleased by that, because one thing John Joe Shelvey is a leader. He doesn't lead by example by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, can you imagine the players taking sort of lead from John Joe Shelvey? Would have a bunch of players just sitting in one place on the pitch?
Probably, yeah. I mean, has anyone been convinced by Shelvey this season? Because I certainly haven't. Absolutely no chance in hell of our being convinced by that lad this season. He's supposed to be one of our creative players. Where has that been all season? Where you just stand there, look lazy, you're just punting balls away for the hell of it, and just not bothered.
Scored a couple of goals and hit a couple of Hollywood passes. Basically, is what all he's done this season, as far as I'm concerned. I just. I've got this awful feeling though, Peter, come 1:05 on Sunday afternoon, we're going to see that team sheet and it's going to be Hendrick and Shelvey in the middle. And I just think if that's the case, we are going to get an absolute arse whipping. We will be, we may as well just bend over and say, yeah, fucking who, because we will get punished in ways unimaginable if we have them two melon heads in midfield.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry if I've upset you, Archer, if you're watching, because I know you're Jeff Hendrick lookalike and you think the world of him. Martin says, why don't the journalists call Bruce out over his comments of never quitting when he obviously has? Simple reason for that is because any journalists that seem to seem to sort of have a go at Steve Bruce back, get banned.
Exactly.
They're never there.
Yeah.
Which is just what we're talking about online trolling, Peter. It's just the same thing.
Exactly.
It's like, have a conversation about it, Steve. Open up and tell us what's going on. Have a two-way conversation. But no, anybody that disagrees with what Steve Bruce says or asks a question that Steve Bruce doesn't want, he bans them from the press conference.
Exactly. And speaking of that, there's been a tweet from Craig Hope about this today as well. And it goes along the lines of, Steve Bruce said today that certain individuals are entitled to their opinion. No, Steve, we're not. I am banned for having an opinion and writing stories that you and NUFC confirmed to be true.
Well, I actually I retweeted that, Pete, and Craig Hope he actually liked the retweet I did. He's got a point, though. He's perfectly correct in what he says there.
Yeah, he is.
And he just doesn't like anybody that... it seems to be like a sort of Gestapo in a way that you can't, you're prepped before you go into these press conferences, say, right, thou shalt not ask this and thou shalt not ask this, or else you're banned for life. You'll never be allowed back in Disneyland. It's pathetic,
Exactly.
Just fire the freaking questions at him,
Exactly.
I mean, if I bumped into Steve Bruce in the street in Newcastle, right, I'd just stop him and I'd say, right, Steve, why have you done this? He'd probably just walk away, but I don't care. I'd confront him. He's just got away with so much shit since this lockdown. And he hasn't had to face the fans. He hasn't got to face anybody when he comes out with all this shite after shite, week after week. And it's just, it really is annoying. Brian says, Paul, I have a daughter on the way in June. There was nothing else to do in lockdown but get it on. Congratulations, Brian.
Well done.
Luke says, 4141, put John Jones front of the back four, put the Longstaff brothers in front of John Joe, Fraser and Murphy on the wing, and good old no goals Joe Linton up top. Well, there's no point putting no goals Joe Linton up top. Did you see that tweet somebody had put out? A picture of it was like a cartoon graphic of a football stadium with this huge goal at the end of it.
I've seen that.
Just saying that Newcastle had put in to try and extend the size of the goalposts. I thought that was quite funny.
I don't think it make much difference because Joe Linton just seems to shoot at the keeper half the time.
He doesn't shoot either, does he? He gets in the penalty area and he's like, has a panic attack now. He doesn't even bother shooting. Back to the press conference, Steve Bruce said on Martin, this is what I want to pick you up on as well, Peter.
Yeah.
Martin hasn't been very well, but we expect him to be okay. We expect him for training today, and we'll have a chat with him to see how he feels, but we think he'll be okay for Sunday. Now, 24 hours prior to that, Martin Dubravka puts a photo out of him, his wife, and his newborn in the hospital. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if he was ill, he wouldn't have been allowed anywhere near that delivery room for a start.
No.
So I find it bizarre. I think maybe, yes, he was probably ill on international duty because he didn't feature at all. But it's very bizarre how, a player puts out, 24 hours before his manager says he hasn't been very well, but he's in the delivery room close to his wife and newborn baby, where I'm sure if there was any kind of illness going around with Martin Dubravka, he wouldn't be daft enough to be in there, never mind being told.
Definitely not. Exactly, yeah. I mean, my word. It's
so of course there's loads of rumors now going around that Dubravka's that Darlow's going to be starting tomorrow.
Oh, we'll see what happens, but I'm just baffled by that. Honestly, I am.
It's crazy, but this is the kind of thing that we get in press conferences, isn't it? We're looking around thinking, what? Why has he said that? Where did that happen? Where did this happen? And it's every single pigging week. I really want to know who gave Bruce a £4 million get-out clause. Well, whoever brought in Joe Linton as well, to be honest. How is the SM more advanced than Wilson? They resumed training on the same day. That's a good point. 10 against 10 at the back against Tottenham. Bruce going to play 1-1-1 with a false one. Yeah, that could be true. Layla said PD Proudlock is a rude name. Proudlock lives matter. What the hell? Have you been drinking today, Layla? And he says it's refreshing to see a large group of YouTubers who genuinely care about their team. That's why Toon fans are the best in the world. Thank you very much, Shani. Martin says bullshit Billy Bruce. Yeah, he's getting some crazy nicknames lately, like for his press conferences. But it is mad. I mean, that Dubravka one really did make me sort of scratch my head and think, Jesus. Joel said, what happened on Twitter, Paul? I haven't got Twitter. What generally happened? Oh, just trolls, mate. Don't worry about it. Paul says he's in denial. He keeps thinking things will turn around and his luck will come back, but it's just not going to happen. And this is what... this is the thing, though, but when we played Tottenham away from home this season, we played terribly and got away with a point after that disgraceful penalty decision.
Exactly.
I really, really, really don't want to see a game like that again, because I think if we play as badly as we did down there, Peter, this time Tottenham will. I mean, they've got such a deadly front three. Whoever they play. I mean, Son and Kane are going to play, right? So it's then who plays on the other side. Is it going to be Gareth Bale? Is it Lucas Moura? Who's the other guy? He scored that goal against Arsenal the other week. What's his name, man? Lamella. So they've got a boatload of players that can play up front.
They do.
It's scary. It's scary. Paul, you're a legend. Never troll. Cheers, mate. Really appreciate that. David said that he would love the fans to be here. I know, and that's what gets me. But he's just doing that to wind us up, Peter, because he knows damn well if the fans were there, would let him know exactly what we think of him.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, there'd be so much abuse thrown at him. There'll be loads of it.
I mean, when this 10,000 goes in, if that's the case at the end of the season, we've said this on previous shows, Pete. There's no way that 10,000 will be anywhere near the dugout. They'll be as far away as possible. Oh yeah, probably up in level 7, way out the way.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Steven says, Paul, I missed what happened on Twitter. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry, mate. Bruce is there because NUFC couldn't get any better at the time, and when they do, they soon get fed up with the BS board. Bruce is not a great manager; it's just someone to fill in. Yeah, but when in fairness, without sounding like a big-headed club, when Newcastle United, we shouldn't just be getting a manager to fill in.
You need a one that's going to do well, get this team organised, have good tactics, and knows to tell the players to go and have a good game of football with this manager.
Knows also a bit of discipline and isn't afraid to follow them as well.
Exactly.
Bit more on the press conference. Bruce on Tottenham Hotspur. Whenever you play versus Jose's teams, you have to play well. They had a decent result last time out. For me, Jose, the criticism he receives is ridiculous in my opinion. He's one of the greats. I'm expecting quality players in big areas of the pitch. I mean, there he goes again, Pete. He's bigging up the opposition before we even kick the fucking ball.
Exactly. So is he dreading the opposition? Is he concentrating on more of them than on our team? I mean, Jesus Christ. And to say Mourinho should be criticised, well, if a team's played poorly, they've got to be criticised. I mean, I watched Spurs. I see the highlights of Spurs' Europa League match, and my
Yeah.
God, they were dreadful in that game. They were absolutely dreadful in that game.
Yeah, they were. I just think, I personally think, Jose's come at the end of his managerial career. I think he's becoming a bit stale with his tactics because we know what Jose is like. He's not one of these managers that adapts to change very well. He's stuck in his ways, and he'll always be like that. And that's how he's always been, and it's brought him success over the years. I think that success now is going to slowly dwindle away. But that's not to say that Tottenham still can't reach the Champions League this season. And one of the 3 points out of fourth, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
They're not going to turn up at St James's Park just to have a kick around. They are still involved in a lot this season that can bring them success.
Well, exactly. Yes, I mean they've got Kane in there. They've got Mora, and their squad it's really full of quality. Their attacking lineup, and I've seen them punish teams on the day. I mean, I watched them do it against Burnley. I've seen them do it against any other clubs. Man United away 6-1.
Well, exactly. I mean, I watched that game and I thought, bloody hell, Spurs. I mean, they turned it on that day, big style. But I just think that a lot of people have said their defense is something that Newcastle can get at, right? But it's when Newcastle can actually go on the attack, because
that's the thing.
Spurs have got so much pace. I mean, that's what frightens me is the pace. Son and Kane switching around. Kane, what I've noticed about Harry Kane is he comes very, very deep for the ball, right? So that may well suck our central defenders to come further out than they should be, which lets the likes of Son and Bale or Lamella or Mora, who've all got pace, to slip in behind. And that's what Harry Kane does well. He comes deep, he gets the ball, and Son's already on his way, busting the gut. And Kane just pings the ball over and he's in. And I don't think we've got the defenders to match them, basically, especially if he starts Emil Kraft again.
Oh, God, I hope not.
Good evening, Stephen. Hope you're well, buddy. John says, I'm another Parkinson's sufferer. I live in the Northeast. I would be a training ground to give Bruce and them excuse for coaches a bloody good hiding. I'm a fan from Northern Ireland. Yeah. You can't put it any better than that, John, to be honest. I think, these players need to realize how lucky they are and how privileged they are, because, it doesn't matter if I've got a disability. I'd still play for Newcastle United to the best of my ability. But these players, do they love the club? I'm not so sure. Some do. Some definitely do. But there's others who don't give a damn. Layla says, I don't know why I love Moloch Channel so much. I'm in love. Well, you've definitely got a fan there, Pete. They'll be stalking and you'll come out and you'll lock the door, you'll turn around, and there's Layla with a scrapbook and pen wanting your autograph and photo and all sorts of stuff. It's taken off for you now, Peter. I told you.
Yes.
Don't think Ashley would back Bruce anyway, even if Bruce did well. Same old stuff from the past. Yeah, he won't back anybody now. That's a certainty. Tom says he feels sorry for the younger generation of supporters having to watch us now. We had the privilege of the Keegan and Robson area. Great times, great memories. Yeah, we've said that a few times. That obviously, a lot of the younger generation, Mike Ashley, they only know this regime. They've never seen the good times at Newcastle, and it's such a shame. And we desperately want them back. We desperately want to see them. We were everybody's second team back then. Everybody loved when watching Newcastle because they were the entertainers. It didn't matter how many the opposition scored. Newcastle just wanted to score more. And that's why the other night when I did my best Premier League 11, I put Philip Albert in as one of the centre backs because he just got the ball and he wanted to score. If he hit the ball away and then he'd run after the ball, he'd just keep going. And I remember the goals he scored, I think it was at the Old Main Road against Manchester City. And I know I'm sort of going off on one here, but it's kind of gelling into what we're talking about players and the passion and the effort that they put in.
Yeah,
he got the ball. I think there was highlights on the other day of it. He got the ball in his own 18-yard area, and he passed it out. But he didn't stop. He didn't stop running. Like you see, like central defenders at the minute. They give the ball and then they'll just stay where they are. He just went for it. And he kept running and running and running till Asprilla eventually played the ball back in. And then all of a sudden, the man in the penalty area at the other end was Philip Albert. And his commitment was just fantastic.
Sure,
but unfortunately, players, younger fans don't see that anymore. It's such a shame. Bruce has the easiest of rides, but I'm sure he wouldn't last 5 minutes once fans return. It'll be oh God, can you imagine, Peter? It'd be worse than McLaren.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, 2 wins out of 20 just says it all, doesn't it? I mean, John Carver McLaren didn't have them records, did they?
Nah. But I don't know. McLaren didn't play his worst. McLaren's football wasn't as bad as Steve Bruce's.
Definitely
at least McLaren tried to win on the odd occasion. And I mean, John Carver, we're not even going to talk about because he's the best coach in the world. So we can't diss him, can we?
No.
Joe Linton says, I reckon if Paul and Proudlock saw Bruce in real life, they would chin him. He would end up with shit all over. What's the matter with people? Honestly, have a word with yourself.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, neither would I.
Go that far.
Definitely not.
No.
Did you know that the club will be giving some fans a bag of horse crap to munch on when they return to the stadiums? I wouldn't surprise us. It's April Fool's Day every day of the year at the Toon. You can't argue with that. Let's have another look at some of the other absolute dross he's come out with. I'm going to move that comment just a second because... Bruce on the Chronicle poll. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I can't take any notice of polls. I just have to focus on the Tottenham game. On Lee Charnley meetings, he comes to the training ground every week to see how things are. There's nothing new or different in that. Peter.
Jesus bloody Christ. Well, Charlie, you're not telling them, Bruce, you're doing an absolutely bloody terrible job.
I mean, Lee Charnley has never been seen in public, right? Yet this man has been to the training ground, what did Steve Bruce say, every day? Every day. Really? He certainly doesn't go to the football matches.
Certainly not.
I mean, what is said? What do you think is said between them, Peter? When Charnley goes into that, training ground, what on earth does he say to Steve Bruce?
You would love to know, wouldn't you? Because, hey, you just wondered you're not thinking, is it, Steve, come on, we needed the speed up better, or is it, don't worry, Steve, just continue to do what you're doing. I mean, it's just, you would just love to know, wouldn't you? That is the thing. I mean, hey. I
don't think they even talk about football, Peter. I just think they go in and they talk about bollocks. They'll have a cup of tea in the restaurant. They'll just sit there and say, did you watch that thing on TV last night? Or who we playing this weekend, Steve? Or against Tottenham this week, Steve? All right, fine, good. Best of luck. Hope you do all right. See you later. He just goes in for a cup of tea and that's it. Brian says, don't worry, Paul. You will see another game as bad as the last one as long as Bruce is at the helm. Exactly. But the thing is, when you're doing reporting on Newcastle, like you're running a channel, you've got to sit and watch through it. You can't just bugger off. It's painful now watching Newcastle. And I saw Lee from Newcastle Fans TV he was on a Tottenham channel, and he was talking about the toxicity in Newcastle at the minute amongst the between the club and the fans, and how people don't quite understand away from Newcastle what it's really like. Yes, nobody's happy with the manager, but it's a toxicity around the whole club that is just worse than ever.
It is, yeah.
Is it any going to get better? Can you see any way it's going to get better between now and the end of the season?
Not at this rate, no chance. Absolutely no way it's going to get any better.
Layla says, would you take Trossard at Newcastle in a heartbeat? I think he's a brilliant player.
Cracking player.
Yep. Mark says, Paul, would you be happy to go out and play for a draw? Do you know what? I've said this. I don't want them to go out and play for a draw because I think if we go and play for a draw, we'll lose the game. We'll get absolutely mullered.
We will.
I think if we go out and we try and win the game, we come away with a draw, I'll be happy with that. It's a point towards survival. But I've said this in my preview, that if we go out and set up for a draw, like we have done in previous games, like we did at Brighton, Peter, we will get mullered.
Yeah, and it'll not just be 3 we'll lose by. It could be a hell of a lot more.
Well, I mean, people are talking 6 and 7, really. If you know, I mean,
That's a
God,
possibility. We
I
play
think
like for a draw.
if we lost the game by that many, Peter, I think that would just destroy any confidence any of the players have.
Exactly,
Because
100%.
Ian says someone said Bruce is not a great manager, just someone to fill in. Well, I guess that is how he always has a broken nose. Yeah, because Beat said if Benitez was afforded the funds that Bruce had spent, I'm in no doubt we would be in the top half of the table. That isn't even debate, because we all know that if Rafa was given the money, that when you think about it, right, we spent £40 million on Joe Linton. Okay, so can you imagine if Rafa was given the £40 million, he'd probably get at least 3 players for that much that could do
way better.
Yeah, who are way better players and could do much better jobs. It just you just know it.
Exactly.
But then again, go on, Pete.
He would look and think, and and he'll probably do a bit of scouting himself on players who are going to be good enough. Well, we're just bringing in players who are really poor, or bang average at best off the time, or championship level players.
Yeah. I mean, Rafa had an eye for a player. I mean, sometimes it wasn't always right. I mean, he signed some stinkers as well. Let's not forget that.
Oh, he did.
But the fact that £40 million was spent on Joe Linton, and yes, it wasn't Steve Bruce that spent that money because Joe Linton was already coming in. But had Rafa been given that, he could have got 3 players in, which could have just made that squad a little bit stronger. And yeah, we might not have got above 10th or whatever it is, but that's what we talk about as fans, as progress.
Absolutely.
We want to see progress, and it doesn't matter if each season we keep going a little bit further up and the football keeps getting better. But now we're just getting absolutely tongued every week. It's just not good enough.
No.
Mark said we finished 10th in our season back with Rafa and 13th in the second, but finished with more points when we finished 13th, 45, than we did in 10th with 44. That's progression to me still. Of course it is. It doesn't matter about the points. It's about your league position, because we know what the Premier League's like, Pete. You'll get those seasons where the champions don't have that many points compared to the previous ones, but they're still champions.
Exactly.
And the relegation points are a lot lower than what they normally are. You're still relegated, So
unfortunately, Premier League table doesn't lie.
Exactly, and it's definitely progression without a shadow of a doubt. Imagine if NUFC on Twitter announced that Bruce was sacked on April Fool's Day, but then said it was a prank. The scenes. Well, a lot of people did try that, including members of the press, and they got rather shouted down. Yeah. Lee says, but bit later in the show, lads, well, please don't stop what you guys are doing. Screw the trolls. Keep smiling, lads. Cheers, buddy. Chipper says, Blythe Butchers have applied to be NUC sponsor. Jesus Christ. Paul and PD, who would take the job? I don't know anymore. I don't know now. Eddie Howe's on his way, because Eddie Howe was a bit. I mean, Chris Wilder's still in my head, Peter. I think he's the standout, really.
He could
the
take
only
a
standout.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think he's going to come in this season, Pete.
No, it doesn't look like it now by the looks of it. We've had the chance to look for a new manager, and the board, my gosh, you've just done what they always do, and that's just sit on the Ross and do absolutely bugger all.
Paul says, Paul, why don't you go on your best friend's channel, which is Steve Wraith's, mate? No. And he certainly isn't my best friend, but I've never actually met the bloke, to be honest. I've never actually spoke to him, but he seems to know a lot of us, which is a bit strange. Layla says, I believe Morlock Hair's running faster than Joe Linton. Peter, just just get the email address out and just let her email you, okay? Rumor going around of what I've heard is that Bruce would take a 1.9 million and a circle here with 3 players of his choice to pay off. Dear me. Lampard is a gamble, but something different. I mean, Frank Lampard, yes, I would take Lampard as well. But again, Pete, I don't think he'd come.
No, I'd be asking for a big budget, and he's not going to get that under Mike Ashley. No chance.
Yeah. Stephen, we mentioned him before. I would take him as manager, Roberto Martinez. I think he's very astute, and I think he'd get the respect of the players. But again, is he going to come if we go down? Is he going to come in the championship? It's scary where we might end up. Anyway, we've got a few more to go through from the press conference. Not that, because I forgot to take the bloody comment off the screen again. This one isn't. Interesting. On Ryan Fraser, good for him. It's been a constant fight to get him up to speed here, so I'm delighted for him to get a couple of goals for Scotland. It can only give him a bit of confidence. Now, I've heard rumours, Peter, that everything isn't sitting right with Ryan Fraser. I've been told that he was very reluctant to sign, and that a lot's been going on in the background with him complaining about a lot of things.
Well, can you blame him? I mean, it goes back. Why was he playing as a centre forward?
I'll never understand that in a million years, to be honest.
Oh, that really struck me. Play him out on his proper position, where he can certainly get crosses in the box. I'd see if anyone could get on the end of it. That is the Ryan Fraser you do want to see.
Exactly. The one that played for Scotland is a Ryan Fraser who plays out wide and cuts in, and he scores goals by doing that, and that's where his goals came from. But hey ho, we're not. Steve Bruce just doesn't see this. Which players do you consider as leaders in the current squad? Oh, well, that is a question. Current squad wise, I would have said Hayden before he got injured, but I don't know now, Peter. I really don't. I'm struggling.
Richie maybe, but it doesn't look like he's going to get back in the squad, does it? By the looks of it,
that's the thing, isn't it? Everybody would say Richie, but there's no guarantee that he's going to get back in the team anytime soon. Because we know that Steve Bruce isn't a fan of Matt Ritchie. So, we're screwed either way, because I don't think we've had leadership on the pitch all season, and that's been half the problem with Newcastle.
We haven't.
Which is scary, really. Support Newcastle Eagles for a bit of glory. Richard said, see you at the KPF. Where's KPF? What ground's that?
KPF.
Is it Hulls? Who plays at the KPF? Richard, let me know who the KPF is. I'm trying to rack my brains about who's the KPF's. Oh, Peter's on it now. We'll find out shortly. Why mention managers? It doesn't matter who comes. Keegan said ages ago, you just can't work with these people. Exactly, and that's why we're saying that half the managers won't even bother, because they know, like, working under Mike Ashley's just going to be, it's a non-starter, because he promises things that he just doesn't come through with.
Yeah, exactly.
John Bruce says, hi, Paul. Hi, PD. We want our team back. We want our club back more than anything. Rafa found that out instantly. Of course he did. Yep. Tom says, honest opinion, lads, do you reckon we will win any silverware in our lifetime? I'm 36. Oh, well, it's hard to... No. I mean, it's hard to see at the minute, isn't it? I mean, where the hell are we going to win any silverware at the minute, unless it's the championship trophy again?
Yeah.
Because that's the only silverware we've won lately. So,
that's the only thing.
Here, now this one as well, Peter. Paul Dummett. Bruce said that they're still trying to decide on a contract extension for Paul Dummett, but he's confirmed that Dwight Gale is being offered the 3-year contract that we all heard about earlier this week. Now, if it was between the two of them, I'd rather Dummett sign a new deal, to be honest.
Same.
Big fan of Paul Dummett, but there's talk about Shah getting a 1-year extension. I certainly wouldn't be upset about that. I think he'd be fantastic, especially if we go down. But this Paul Dummett one, it's like the way he was speaking about the Dwight Gale one, though, Peter. It was like he wasn't privy to it. He didn't have any information on it. He just said, "I'm led to believe that he's been offered this, or I'm being told this." It's like he's had no say on it, and that just said, well, hang on, you've kept him on his arse all season. There's clearly no respect between you, and now he's going to sign a new contract. The whole thing it stinks, man.
Oh, it certainly does, doesn't it? My God.
Oh, Queen's Park Rangers. Right, there you go. It's not Kingston Park Falcons. Geordie says Loftus Road QPR is the KPF. Right. Well, I've been educated. There you go. Adam says, reckon Newcastle will go down. I still believe we will stay up. You've got to hope. You've got to have that hope that we stay up, because if we don't have any hope, what's the point?
Yeah, if we don't pick up any, if more bad results continue, I'll accept the fate will go down. But if we maybe start getting points, there's that hope. But if we don't keep losing games, I think the waste is going to come. Apparently.
Yeah. David says Jacob Marley. Is that Bob Marley's son, or were you supposed to say Jacob Murphy there, David? Because I don't think Bob Marley had a son called Jacob. He might have somewhere along the line, but I don't think he did. Right, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Bruce and his contract. There's been reports coming out today, quite a few of them from a lot of reliable sources, that he is going to sign or going to be offered a new contract if we stay up. Now, we spoke about this briefly before we came on air, and, you know, I said to you, imagine, we do stay up, and then over the summer, you get up and you're sitting having your breakfast, you put Twitter on, or you put the news on, whatever it may be, and there it is, Steve Bruce given 6-year contract extension at Newcastle United and a fucking pay rise. I mean, what the hell is going on?
Oh, God. I hope that is just a rumour so far. If that is true, oh, my God. I think I'll be banging my head off a wall at this rate. How does that bloke deserve a new contract? Certainly does not. Oh, I mean, my word.
It fills you with dread, doesn't it? I mean, it was bad enough when, we heard about Alan Pardew's contract and all of that stuff. But I'd rather have Pardew for 6 years than Steve Bruce for 1 at the minute.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's how bad it's become. This is me now, says the new 3-year offer to Gale and the backing of Bruce leaves me far less hopeless to a Premier League return than the previous 2 relegations. We ain't coming straight back up if we go down. I'd stick, if we... I'm trying to think what I could put on the line, but I'd put anything on the line to say we wouldn't come back up because there's just not a chance. Kobe says, would you have Keegan back or not if he was willing to come back? I think Keegan's had his time now. I think, even if we got taken over, I think, I would love to see him come back in some sort of director of football role or something like that, or an ambassadorial role for Newcastle, but not as manager. I think there's a lot of good managers out there that we could get if we got a takeover. Definitely. 100%. I think PD Proudlock is upset.
Well, probably have to hear that rumour about Bruce is he going to get the new deal. Oh, I probably will be if he gets a new contract. Oh, God.
Yeah, David says, I think Jacob Murphy could be a leader. I think it's too early for him yet. I do agree, though. I do think he could definitely be a leader in the future, but he's too young at the minute. Richard says, you desperately need a leader in that team. It's becoming a circus. It's not becoming one, Richard. It's already a circus. It's been a circus for quite a while, to be honest, and a lot longer than the last few months. It's dreadful. John says, yes, I bet you did not know that one, did you? No, I didn't. So, you've educated me, John, 100%. Adam says, Pardew got done over in the season where we saw Cabaye. Really felt for the guy at times. Very, very true. He had no say on what was going on with Cabaye, and Cabaye was falling out with people above, Pardew and stuff. I thought the football we played under Pardew at times was brilliant.
It was,
I really did. It was entertaining.
The season we got. Certainly was. When the season we finished 5th in the league. Oh, hey. That was great to watch.
Yeah. And getting into Europe and stuff like that, it was great. Geordie says Keegan is an ambassador, but not as manager. Totally agree. Yeah. Ed says, I'd rather Quinn and Phillips come in as joint management with Roy Keane and Cattermole on coaching staff than keep Bruce. That's how bad we've got now, though, Peter. That's what Newcastle fans are thinking, Get a quartet of Sunderland, ex-Sunderland people to come in and try and do something. Learn to spell. Not everyone can spell, Don't worry. I'm still trying to understand the messages. I hope there isn't a £4 million compensation clause in that new contract. I think if you got a new contract, it would probably be... can you imagine if you got a 6-year contract, Pete, what the compensation would be on that?
God.
It's frightening, man. Gary says, Mike Ashley is the worst ever thing that happened to Newcastle United, ever. Steve Bruce is the worst manager we have ever had. Serves Ashley right if and when we go down.
Yes.
The more and more time goes on, though, Pete, the more and more I think that Ashley's not bothered if we go down now.
By the sounds of it, if he wants out the football club, he wants to sell it now. But, it just sounds like Ashley's not bothered anymore, does he?
No. I truly think he's already made his mind up where he's going to make the rest of his money should he sell the club to the whoever it may be in the EFL. I think he knows deep down that a takeover is much more likely to go through in the EFL than it would do in the Premier League. There isn't as much scrutiny at all, and certainly there's no, big six to put a stopper to it. So I think that's the way it's going anyway. I just think something's going on. Kobe says, I would love an all or nothing documentary at Newcastle this season, but if Bruce didn't know the cameras was watching him, that would be interesting. Every weekend after the match, it would be, lads, 3 days off. Lads, have a week off. I'm not bothering with training. I'm starting to think Layla's definitely a stalker, Peter. I think we need to, question that. Evening, Andrew. Hope you're well, buddy. Geordie said, had Ashley have back Pardew in the summer of 2012 and had have invested in the squad instead of just bringing Anita and Bigorama in, that we could have kicked on. Yeah, I mean, Gail Bigorama was a strange one for me. Never really made it. Vernon Anita, I didn't mind, but I thought Vernon Anita was a better right back than he was a midfielder. When he played at right back.
Yeah, he did well at right back. I remember in the Championship days.
Yeah, he did. So I was, I was pretty happy with him playing there. I didn't think he was anything in midfield, but he stepped into midfield when he had to. But I thought, he's a much better right back. I'd rather have Pardew back and headbutting people on the touchline than Bruce barging his own players on the training ground. Yes, exactly. Ferdinand's doing wonders at QPR. Yeah, as director of football there, isn't he? And it's some kind of role like that at QPR. I would love to see Sir Les at Newcastle, though.
Oh, yeah.
I would absolutely love it. I just love the guy. If he signs a new contract, I will run down my road with no clothes on. Well, you might get arrested for that, mate. Mark says Bruce is happy and lucky to just have a job. No club will be in any rush to snap him up after this. The last Premier club to appoint him was in 2009. Yeah, we've said it loads of times, Peter, that this is his last hurrah. There's going to be nobody taking him on.
No, I think they'll look at the record now and they're thinking, oh God, I think we're staying away from him now.
Yeah, anybody that took Steve Bruce on now would be quite clinically insane. Adam says, I'll take a relegation if we were to get a takeover. I think a lot of people are going down that avenue now. They're just fed up with the football.
Yeah, they are.
Stephen said we'd take relegation if it meant Bruce wasn't getting a new deal. I don't know. I want to stay in the Premier League. I don't want to lose our Premier League skills, but I don't want Steve Bruce at the club either. And this is where it gets a very, very tough decision to make, because you're kind of thinking, right, what do we do here?
Exactly.
Do we go down and just get rid of Bruce and start rebuilding? But then you've got that fear of going down and not coming back up.
That is the worry, isn't it? I think Down will not become straight back up this time. A lot of players will be out the door, unfortunately, and it's going to be a lot more tougher. Yeah. It's going to be a hell of a lot tougher.
Well, yeah. Right, guys, that's it for the press conference reaction show. Thank you very much for joining in, and thank you for all the live comments as well. It's going to be a test on Sunday. It's going to be a real, battle of wits. The question is, are the team going to be, going out 110%? Are we going to see a team going out to win the game? Or is Steve Bruce going to turn around and say, right, we're going to draw. We're going out for a draw, and then we'll try and catch Tottenham on the break. If we do that, me and Peter are pretty convinced we're going to get a humping, which will be very, very disappointing. But anyway, I'll be on John's channel on Sunday doing a watch along, and then straight after that at 4:15 on this channel will be Match Reaction Live. I've had a massive audience for the last few. It's been brilliant. Hopefully, we might be able to do a Match Reaction Live with a nice victory for once in a while. It would be lovely not to raise the old blood pressure after a game, but I guess we'll find out. And then we're all back again on Monday night at 8 o'clock with the Four Horsemen. That will be a lively show. Truly lively. Things are going to get said on that show, I have a feeling, but we'll save that till Monday. But Peter, thank you very much in the meantime for co-presenting again. It's been a pleasure, mate. And hopefully when we do the Four Horsemen on Sunday, it'll be 3 points in the bag.
Hopefully will be, but I'm not holding my breath on it, I must say.
No, neither am I. Right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Happy Easter to everybody. And again, thank you so much for all the support I got today. It means the world to me that there is so many nice, kind, caring people out there. And like I said on Twitter, the nice people, the genuine people far outweigh the trolls, and they will never, ever win. But thank you very much again for joining. And I'll catch you on John's channel for the watch along and the Match Reaction Live at around 4:15 on Sunday. Until then, guys, happy Easter. Enjoy your weekend and take care.
Be strong.